Jasmine Carter stood frozen as security guards surged toward her. She poisoned him. Someone screamed. The billionaire writhed on the marble floor, his body convulsing as the plant extract she'd administered trickled from his lips. Behind her, 10 white-coated physicians stared in silent horror, unaware that their greatest medical humiliation had just begun. Before we dive into this gripping story of determination against all odds, tell us in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible tales of ordinary people doing the extraordinary. Now, let's unravel how a cleaning lady's daughter became the center of a billionaire's medical emergency. Sunlight spilled through the dusty blinds of the Carter apartment as 17-year-old Jasmine Carter got ready for another day at Oak Ridge High. Her nimble fingers moved fast, weaving her curls into a neat crown while she mentally reviewed chemistry formulas for her upcoming test. Jasmine was exceptional, holding a perfect 4.0 GPA. Despite the daily challenges of being one of the few black students at her mostly white school, her bedroom walls were covered with diagrams of plant cells and human anatomy, visual proof of her dream to become a doctor. But dreams came at a cost, and money was something the Carters never had enough of. In the kitchen, her mother Evelyn was already dressed in the pale blue uniform she'd worn for 2 decades as a cleaner at Westbrook Medical Center. "Morning, baby," she said, sliding toast across the small dining table. "You ready for that test today?" Jasmine nodded, her thoughts already drifting to the hours she'd spend after school helping her mom clean hospital halls, grabbing any unattended medical journals or textbooks left behind by doctors. Evelyn saw the faraway look in her daughter's eyes and gently squeezed her shoulder. "Your great-grandmother would be so proud of you. She always said you had her gift." Jasmine smiled at the mention of her great-grandmother, a revered healer from rural Mississippi, famed in her community for her use of medicinal plants. Though Jasmine had never met her, the stories painted a vivid portrait of a strong black woman who treated those mainstream medicine ignored. "I wish I could have learned from her," Jasmine murmured, slipping on her backpack. "All those remedies, all that knowledge, ... Double quotes. Evelyn nodded thoughtfully. "You got some of that in your blood, baby. And the rest is in those journals I keep in the closet. You come from a line of healers, even if the world refuses to call us that." The bus ride to Oak Ridge was a familiar discomfort. Jasmine sat alone, watching the scenery shift from her struggling neighborhood to the polished wealth of her classmates' suburbs. At school, she moved with practiced invisibility shoulders, slightly hunched to make herself smaller against the daily microaggressions. Just yesterday, during a college planning session, her guidance counselor had said, "Have you considered community college? Ivy League dreams can lead to disappointment." The implication was unspoken but clear. People like Jasmine didn't become doctors at elite institutions. After school, Jasmine caught the bus to Westbrook Medical Center. Donning a uniform just like her mother's, she helped clean the hospital corridors, mostly ignored by the professionals around her. It was during one of these shifts that she first heard about Maxwell Sterling. "The Maxwell Sterling," one nurse whispered excitedly. Jasmine, emptying a trash bin nearby, listened intently. "The tech billionaire is here admitted this morning. Some kind of illness no one can figure out. Specialists were being flown in from all over." Jasmine had read about Sterling in a glossy business magazine someone left in the waiting room. A 62-year-old tech titan worth billions, both revered and feared for his innovations and temper. Over the following days, Jasmine quietly observed the steady stream of specialists, 10 in total. Each arrived with polished resumes and polished shoes. The lead was Dr. Harrison Wells, a tall man with silver hair and icy blue eyes, who swept through the halls like a general, never once acknowledging the janitorial staff. One evening, while mopping outside Sterling's private suite, Jasmine overheard a tense discussion. "The seizures are getting worse," said Dr. Wells. "We're seeing elevated compound levels in the blood. The liver's failing. Another doctor guessed autoimmune disease. A toxicologist floated environmental exposure, but none of them had answers. Something clicked in Jasmine's memory. The symptoms sounded eerily familiar, like a story her mom once told about her great-grandmother's patient. A wealthy man slowly poisoned by a rival, using a plant extract. That night, on the ride home, Jasmine asked Evelyn about it. That was long before my time, Evelyn said, city lights flickering across her tired face. But I remember Mama telling me about it. The man had seizures, yellow skin. Doctors were baffled. Great-grandma figured it out, some plant called monkshood, mixed to hide the signs. She made a counteragent, using bloodroot and other herbs, saved his life. Jasmine sat up. Mom, Mr. Sterling has the same symptoms. Almost exactly. I overheard the doctors. Evelyn's expression darkened. Jasmine, no. That's not our place. We clean the hospital. We don't diagnose patients, especially not billionaires surrounded by 10 top doctors. People like us. We don't get hurt in places like that. Jasmine Carter froze as security guards rushed her. She poisoned him. Someone yelled. The billionaire convulsed on the marble floor, the plant extract she'd given him dripping from his lips. 10 stunned physicians watched, unaware their greatest professional failure had just begun. But how did a cleaning lady's teenage daughter end up in the center of a billionaire's medical crisis? That morning, Jasmine, 17, brilliant, and overlooked her curls while reviewing chemistry formulas. Despite maintaining a perfect GPA at her mostly white school, she was often underestimated. At home, her mother Evelyn, a hospital cleaner for 20 years, reminded her of their family legacy. Her great-grandmother, a renowned healer who treated people forgotten by modern medicine. At Westbrook Medical Center, where Jasmine cleaned alongside her mother, she overheard doctors struggling to diagnose tech billionaire Maxwell Sterling. His worsening seizures and organ failure matched something. Jasmine remembered a story Evelyn once told about a poisoning case her great-grandmother had treated with monkshood. Despite her fear, Jasmine approached lead physician Dr. Wells. I think Mr. Sterling might be suffering from monkshood poisoning, she said. Wells scoffed, mocked her, and had security escort her away. Crushed, but undeterred, Jasmine confided in her mother and later visited Mrs. Jackson, an elderly neighbor who once knew her great-grandmother. Mrs. Jackson handed her an old journal, filled with handwritten remedies. There, Jasmine found it the exact antidote Sterling needed. The next night, she met Dr. Gabriela Mendez, a newly arrived specialist who, unlike the others, treated her with respect. Jasmine shared her theory, research, and the journal. Though skeptical, Dr. Mendez promised to investigate. The following afternoon, Jasmine received a text, "Meet me in the garden, GM." There, Dr. Mendez confirmed that Jasmine had been right. Monkshood markers were found in Sterling's blood, masked by another agent. Why? Mendez asked quietly. Did no one test for this before? Have you ever known something important, only to be ignored because of who you are? Comment 1 if you've been in Jasmine's shoes. Hit like if you believe wisdom can come from anyone, and subscribe to see if Jasmine's courage will finally be recognized or dismissed once again. It's rare but not accidental, Dr. Mendez said, frowning at the test results. Someone poisoned him, Jasmine whispered, the realization sinking in. Questions for the police, Mendez replied. Our job now is to treat him. You mentioned a remedy. Jasmine opened the leather-bound journal. It's a mix of bloodroot and other plants. I've done the research. The alkaloids in bloodroot counter the toxin, and the rest help support liver detoxification. You've clearly done your homework, Mendez said. But I can't administer untested herbal remedies to a high-profile patient. Then test them, Jasmine urged. I already gathered everything. I can prepare it exactly as written. Just then, Jasmine's phone rang her mother. Jasmine, your supervisor's looking for you. Please tell me you're not still messing with the Sterling case. I'm doing what's right, Jasmine said. Evelyn's voice softened but stayed firm. What's right doesn't always pay rent. If you get fired, how will we afford college? Jasmine closed her eyes. I know, Mom, but I can't stay silent while a man dies. That evening, Jasmine worked quietly in Mrs. Jackson's garden, following her great-grandmother's recipe. You've got her gift, Mrs. Jackson murmured, watching Jasmine work. Your hands know. It feels like the plants are guiding me, Jasmine whispered. Mrs. Jackson nodded. They are. The knowledge isn't just in those pages, it's in you. The next morning, Dr. Mendez met Jasmine in the garden again. I ran lab tests, she said quietly. The remedy works at least in vitro. But when I brought it up at the case review, let me guess, Jasmine said. Dr. Wells called it pseudoscience. When I told him you proposed it, he exploded, pulled me from the case. Jasmine swallowed the hurt. So we just let him die? Not yet, Mendez said. I reached out to Victoria Sterling, his daughter. She just flew in from Switzerland. She's desperate. If anyone will listen, it's her. Hope flared in Jasmine's chest. Maybe, just maybe, she could save him. But as she returned to her duties, another thought haunted her. Sterling had been poisoned. The person responsible was still out there. And if they found out Jasmine was close to the truth, she might be their next target. In the crowded cafeteria, she tightened her grip on her mop handle, heart pounding not just from fear, but from determination. Dr. Mendez had arranged a quiet meeting with Victoria Sterling in the cafeteria away from Dr. Wells and his team. Jasmine followed nervously, still in her cleaning uniform. Victoria, looking drained, barely acknowledged them at first. I heard you were consulting, Victoria said, her voice wary. What happened? I proposed a diagnosis. Your father's team rejected, Mendez said, but I've confirmed it through lab tests. Your father is being poisoned. Aconitum, monkshood. Victoria blinked. Poisoned. She glanced at Jasmine. And you are? Jasmine Carter. I clean here with my mother, but I also recognized your father's symptoms from a traditional remedy passed down by my great-grandmother, a healer. Victoria's skepticism was immediate until Mendez placed test results in front of her. The toxin was masked, but it's there, she said. Jasmine's theory checks out, and there's a possible remedy. Victoria read through the file, her expression shifting from doubt to alarm. Let me guess, Dr. Wells dismissed it because the idea came from a teenager in a janitor's uniform. He refused to consider it at all, Mendez confirmed. Victoria stood. My father built his empire by listening to people others ignored. A janitor once backed him when no one else would. Let's go. What followed was swift. Victoria used her influence to summon hospital leadership, including Dr. Wells. In the boardroom, she laid out the diagnosis and the lab confirmed poisoning. Wells scoffed, mocking Jasmine's lack of credentials and the idea of a folk remedy. But Dr. stood firm. Science should follow the truth, no matter who finds it. Suddenly, a security guard burst in. We just received confirmation from police Mr. Sterling was poisoned. They're on their way to investigate. Silence fell. Dr. Chin, the chief of medicine, turned sharply to Wells. You dismissed this possibility without even testing, he stammered. But Victoria cut in, because the warning came from a young black woman you refused to see. Dr. Chin ended the meeting. Dr. Wells, you're suspended pending review. Dr. Mendez, continue the investigation. Miss Carter, please consult with our pharmacology department. Let's find a safe way forward. Outside, Wells hissed at Mendez. You've ended your career siding with a janitor. She replied calmly. What ends careers is arrogance that puts patients at risk. Victoria approached Jasmine. You did what most people wouldn't. Thank you. Jasmine nodded. Couldn't stay quiet when I knew the answer. She explained her great-grandmother's journal and the traditional remedy passed down through generations, knowledge hidden in plain sight. As Jasmine and Dr. Mendez returned to the patient wing, hope replaced fear. Maxwell Sterling still lay in critical condition, but now there was a plan and proof. Somewhere in the hospital, his poisoner might have realized they'd been exposed by the daughter of a cleaning lady. Over the next 24 hours, the hospital became a crime scene. Police arrived, questioning staff, reviewing footage. Jasmine had done her part, but the real battle had only just begun. With Dr. Chin now leading the team, Jasmine worked alongside the pharmacology department to refine her great-grandmother's remedy. Meanwhile, Victoria launched a private investigation. After a cleaning shift, Jasmine spotted a sharply dressed man leaving Maxwell Sterling's room. His nervous glance made her suspicious, so she snapped a photo. Later, in the lab with Dr. Mendez and Victoria, Jasmine showed the photo. Victoria's face tightened. "That's Richard Whitman, my father's VP. He's not supposed to be here." She immediately called her security team. Dig into him. Everything. As the verified remedy was prepped, they were interrupted by shouting in the hallway. Dr. Wells was arguing with security about being banned from patient floors. Inside the room, Victoria stood by her unconscious father, while Jasmine carefully administered the first dose. Within 30 minutes, Sterling's vitals began to stabilize. "It's working," Dr. Mendez confirmed. Their relief was short-lived. Whitman barged in, followed by Dr. Wells. "You let a janitor treat Maxwell," Whitman scoffed. "This is insane." Before he could intervene, Dr. Chin entered with 2 officers. "Mr. Whitman, you're under investigation for the attempted poisoning of Maxwell Sterling." Whitman panicked, lunging toward the 4. Jasmine caught the treatment before it spilled. Chaos erupted, but the medical team stabilized Sterling again. Outside, Dr. Chin apologized to Jasmine. "You were dismissed because of who you are, not the merit of your knowledge. That ends now." He offered her a formal consulting role, but reality crashed in. Jasmine received a frantic text from her mother. "Your boss is looking for you." Back in her uniform, she returned to her supervisor, Mr. Patterson, who scolded her. "This is your last warning." Later, Evelyn pulled her aside. "You really saved him." Jasmine nodded. "The treatment is working." Her mom's pride mixed with fear. "But if you lose this job..." Before Jasmine could reply, a hospital-wide code blue alarm rang. Room 712-Sterling. By the time she reached the room, his heart had stopped. Though revived, his condition was dire. A second, unknown toxin had entered his system. "It's digitalis," Dr. Mendez said grimly. "Foxglove." Someone added a second poison. Jasmine's mind flew to a journal entry her great-grandmother had documented dual poisonings with monkshood and foxglove. She proposed a modified treatment. As the team worked, Victoria demanded security footage. "Someone else is involved. Whitman couldn't have done this alone." Sterling's vitals crashed again. "We need 20 minutes, Dr. Mendez said. "He doesn't have 20. A cardiologist," snapped. Jasmine flipped through the journal, heart pounding. "Wait, gelsemium, prepared right. It can slow toxin absorption just long enough." The pharmacist hesitated. "Gelsemium is toxic." "Not if it's modified," Jasmine insisted. "I know how." Dr. Chin made the call. "Do it. We're out of time." As Jasmine guided the pharmacy team in finalizing the remedy, the tension in Sterling's room grew unbearable. His oxygen levels plummeted. Monitors screamed. Evelyn appeared in the doorway, eyes wide, as she watched her daughter calmly assist the doctors. When the modified treatment was ready, Jasmine administered it with steady hands. Minutes passed in silence. Then Sterling's vitals began to recover. Oxygen rose. Heart rate stabilized. "It says working," Dr. Mendez whispered. But just as relief set in, Lawrence Kensington, A hospital board member stormed in. "You're giving experimental treatment to our highest profile patient based on advice from a teenage janitor," he exploded. Dr. Chin stepped forward. "I authorized it after tests, and Miss Carter is a special consultant. I want this stopped now," Kensington snapped. Before he could act, a security officer entered with a tablet. We reviewed the surveillance footage. Everyone gathered around as the video played. Kensington, during the earlier code blue, secretly injecting something into Sterling's fore. The room froze. "You call that standard protocol?" Dr. Chin asked icily. As security arrested him, Victoria demanded. "Why?" Kensington broke. "Your father was going to expose our secret deal with Pharmatech. Billions were on the line." It all became clear. Kensington and Whitman had poisoned Sterling to silence him. But Jasmine, armed with inherited wisdom and relentless courage, had exposed them by morning. Sterling's vitals had stabilized. The team, now including doctors who once mocked Jasmine, looked to her for guidance. She wore scrubs now, not a cleaner's uniform updated. As a formal consultant, traditional remedies that were once dismissed were now under review. Even Victoria marveled. It's shocking how much knowledge medicine has ignored just because of where it came from. Sterling awoke, groggy but alert. "Where am I?" he rasped. Victoria explained everything, then turned to Jasmine. "She saved your life." Sterling blinked at her. "You're not a doctor." "Not yet," Jasmine said. "I'm a high school student who helps her mom clean this hospital." He studied her, then said, "Don't minimize what you did. Recognizing what others missed, that's how innovation happens." As Jasmine shared her great-grandmother's healing legacy, Sterling listened intently. But before she could finish, alarms screamed again. Sterling's body seized violently. Jasmine noticed the IV the remedy looked cloudy, altered. She hit the emergency button. Code blue, room 712, blared overhead. As staff rushed in, Jasmine saw a subtle discoloration around the IV port and something else. Someone was still trying to kill Maxwell. Sterling. Jasmine spotted a faint discoloration around the IV port. It had been tampered with. "The treatment's been sabotaged," she called out, stopping Dr. Mendez from administering standard drugs. "We need to use the emergency protocol now." Without hesitation, Dr. Mendez ordered the secure backup remedy. As the nurse ran to retrieve it, Jasmine recalculated dosage adjustments from her great-grandmother's notes. "Double the concentration for the first dose, then resume normal infusion," she directed. This time, the medical team followed her. Without question. Monitors steadied. Sterling's seizures eased. Crisis averted again. But who had sabotaged the treatment? Security tightened. The tampered for was sent for analysis. Later, Victoria pulled Jasmine aside. "Twice now. You've saved my father. It wasn't luck. It was you." Soon after, police arrived escorting a hospital pharmacist in cuffs. Dr. Chin explained. She was working with Kensington and Whitman. They tried again when the first poisoning failed. The conspiracy went deeper than anyone imagined. That night, Sterling recovered swiftly. But Jasmine's troubles weren't over. A hospital administrator approached her with bad news. Her supervisor had filed a complaint for neglecting cleaning duties, recommending termination. Dr. Chin shut it down immediately. "She's been operating under my direct authority." Still, the moment exposed how fragile Jasmine's place remained. Hero to some, a rule breaker to others. Her mother's text said it all. Are you really about to be fired and celebrated at the same time? This world makes no sense. Yet something had changed. People were now asking her questions, requesting explanations of the folk remedy they once mocked. Jasmine, still in borrowed scrubs, had gone from invisible janitor to central figure in one of the hospital's most dramatic cases. 3 days later, Sterling sat up, recovering at record pace. The FBI had taken over the investigation, uncovering financial motives behind the poisoning plot. Jasmine arrived at the hospital to find reporters swarming outside. Inside, Victoria introduced her to Special Agent Rebecca Torres. "This is the young woman who saved my father's life." Torres studied Jasmine. "I'd like to hear how you identified the poisoning when no one else did." For the next hour, Jasmine walked her through everything from recognizing symptoms to being dismissed by Dr. Wells, to gaining Dr. Mendez's trust, and ultimately being proven right. "You suspected it was intentional from the beginning?" the agent asked. "Yes," Jasmine replied softly, but firmly. Agent Torres confirmed Jasmine's suspicions. This was no accident. Sterling had been intentionally poisoned in a corporate sabotage plot involving Whitman and others. The deeper they dug, the clearer it became. The conspiracy reached from hospital administration into Sterling's own company. Later, in the cafeteria, Victoria confided something darker. "We found proof Whitman was quietly discriminating against minority staff for years, blocking promotions, altering reviews." Jasmine wasn't surprised, but hearing it confirmed still stung. "His reaction to me in your father's room makes sense now," she said. Dr. Mendez interrupted with good news. Sterling's blood work showed near total toxin clearance. He was awake and asking for both of them. In Sterling's room, they discussed more than just his health. "Whitman tried to sabotage my new healthcare initiative," Sterling said, "one designed to serve underserved communities." Jasmine realized she hadn't just saved a man, she'd protected a project that could help people like her and her mother. When she shared her great-grandmother's journals and traditional remedies, Sterling listened with real interest. "Wisdom shouldn't be dismissed just because it doesn't come from elite institutions," he said. Dr. Wells entered stiffly, now allowed limited access to the case. He acknowledged the remedy's success, but with caveats. "Protocols exist for a reason," he insisted. "They almost killed me," Sterling replied coolly, "while Jasmine's insight saved me twice. Maybe it's the protocols that need review." Evelyn arrived just then, catching the end of the exchange. "I was scared when Jasmine spoke up," she admitted. "We can't afford to lose jobs like this." Wells tried to raise disciplinary concerns, but Victoria cut him off, outraged. Sterling silenced the room. "Instead of punishing success, let's talk about how we elevate it." Then, he turned to Jasmine with a proposal. "Let's start a foundation to research and preserve traditional healing knowledge, scientifically validating what's been overlooked." Victoria revealed they'd already begun drafting plans. Jasmine's great-grandmother's work would be the foundation's first study. The story spread. "Cleaning lady's daughter saves billionaire." Headlines simplified the truth, but couldn't erase its insight from an unexpected source had succeeded where the system failed. 6 months later, Jasmine stood at a podium in Westbrook Medical's new auditorium, facing a crowd that once would have overlooked her. Her mother sat in the front row in a new suit. Mrs. Jackson, who had protected the family journals, beamed with pride. Maxwell Sterling, now fully recovered, sat beside Victoria. "Today," Jasmine began, "we opened the Carter Institute for Traditional and Modern Medicine, and we recognize that healing comes from many voices, especially those long ignored." The journey from janitor's daughter to founder wasn't just Jasmine's. It was a shift in the very system that had tried to silence her, and now could never forget her. There had been resistant skepticism from the scientific community, backlash from those threatened by change, but also unexpected allies. Dr. Mendez risked her standing to support Jasmine, and Dr. Chin pushed for lasting institutional reform. In his closing speech, Sterling said what moved Jasmine most. "At my most vulnerable, my life wasn't saved by prestige or expense, but by wisdom preserved by a family our systems deemed unimportant. That failure to listen nearly cost me everything. It's time we change that." After the ceremony, a young black girl approached Jasmine holding a newspaper clipping. I want to be like you, she said. Jasmine signed it with a message of hope, realizing in that moment the full legacy of her great-grandmother's knowledge, not just saving a life, but lighting the path for a new generation. You've started something that will outlast us all, Victoria Sterling said. Jasmine smiled. I'm just continuing what they began. Later, Evelyn wrapped her daughter in a proud embrace. Your great-grandma's smiling down today, baby, so proud. In the years that followed, the Carter Institute would expand beyond anyone's expectations, leading to new life-saving treatments, global partnerships, and a shift in how medicine values traditional knowledge. Jasmine completed her medical degree and returned to lead the institute, bridging ancestral wisdom with modern science. But in that quiet moment with her mother, what mattered most was the truth that had always guided her. Knowledge is valuable, no matter where it comes from, if only we have the wisdom to listen.